Yo, it's Donna A, the queen of the scene, running the fam like a mafia queen. Got my kids in line, Harvey's under my spell. This godmother story I'm gonna tell. I'm Donna A. Dell's son, the boss of the pack. Got my kids moving forward, ain't no looking back. Charlie, Wendy, my puppets on strings. I say jump, they ask how high's the thing. Hubby Harvey's chillin', he's my right-hand man. Nods to my orders like yes, dear, I can. From Boca to Tally, my empire's tight. Ruling this fam like it's Goodfellas night. Donna's the Don, yo, call me the chief. Controlling the crew, no room for no grief. Kids and my man, they all do my will. Mess with my fam, hi, you'll catch a chill. Son-in-law Dan, oh, he crossed the line. Thought he could split us, yo, that ain't fine. I snapped my fingers, made a plan real quick, like a mafia queen. I'm sharp like a brick. Charlie's my bank, Wendy's my brain. Harvey just shrugs, baby, run this game. I'm sipping my coffee, steaming with flair. Running this show from a South Beach lair up high in the air. Donna's the Don, yo, call me the chief. Controlling the crew, no room for no grief. Kids and my man, they all do my will. Mess with my fam, hi, you'll catch a chill. I'm planning and plotting, got that grandma vibe. But cross me, Dan, you won't leave alive. My kids say, mama, don't cry, or B said, no doubt. Harvey's like, honey, what's this all about? I'm the godmother, yeah, with a wink and a grin. Running this circus, let the chaos begin. So submit to Donna, the queen of control. My plan is locked tight, that's how I roll. From the grandkids to Wendy to the mafia crown. Donna Adelson's the baddest in that Miami town.
Yeah, it's good morning. So, thought that this thing was just about over. Sorry about that. Here we go. Almost over. Note. Okay. How are you guys doing today? I hope that you are all doing very, very well. I'm not going to be here a really long time this morning because I got to work. So I'll be here for a few minutes, but today is a very special day. It's a special day on a couple of different levels, both personally and YouTube wise, and I suppose even professionally, there's some information in the mix. You guys ever notice how people that are like nasty, making fun of people that have a weight problem, or maybe they have like asthma or something like that? Do you notice that those people that make fun of other people's weight, that they themselves are usually really unattractive? It's kind of interesting how that happens, isn't it? So it's probably a good thing to keep in mind when you see someone bullying another person, maybe a creator, subscriber. When you see them bullying about them, just remember that is projection. They are taking their own self-loathing and projecting it onto another creator or another subscriber. And then you won't feel motivated to respond. You'll just go, man, that's really sad. Bless her heart. I hope one day she can get over that self-loathing and personal hate. And in the meantime, we're going to be over here just having fun, okay? Now then, Don Adelson's trial begins tomorrow. The process begins tomorrow. We've all been waiting for this for quite some time. We know that Charlie, her, right-hand man, he is now in the Leon County Jail. They are once again back under the same roof together. So I'm sure that they get a little bit of comfort from that. Oh, I don't want to talk about comorbidities. Why do I have comorbidities? I don't want comorbidities. Sorry, I pulled up a research project instead of my script. Sorry about that. Okay, so Donna Adelson is 75 years old. She is, in fact, a grandmother. She's the mom of 3 kids, one of whom is completely estranged because he pushed back on her control. She said, "You have to marry who I say to marry." He did, in fact, marry the woman. And then he said, "No, not for me." And he abandoned that whole farce. And in the meantime, they are now estranged. Wendy also bent to the will of her mother by letting mom pick out a guy for her to date, and who was Dan Markel, and she married him, and that also went down in flames. And it's so interesting because even Charlie, that a lot of people on YouTube think that Charlie and Donna are enmeshed. But isn't it interesting that all of her focus on marrying the right person, finding the right Jewish girl or the wealthy Jewish boy, that what she pushed on Rob and Wendy, Charlie is nowhere even on the same playing field. All of Charlie's women were these exotic young Asian women, completely different than what his mother demonstrated trying to control Wendy and Rob. That kind of is an important fact that speaks out against this whole idea of enmeshment, right? That he's the middle child, so the fact that he's rebellious, I think that's probably pretty predictable. I think that is, in line with what we know about families with multiple kids. But he is not grappling for her approval, at least not in the dating scene. I mean, even when he was with a girl that had a child, he still didn't marry her. So, is young Charlie, did he sit back and watch his mom and dad's marriage and go, not for me. I don't want to live like that. And it's kind of an interesting thought, right? He sat back and he watched what happened to Rob, and he watched what happened to Wendy. And he's just like, no way, no how. Don't want any part of that at all. So 75-year-old grandma Donna, even though she was trying to manipulate and control the context of her family, it all just turned out to be a terrible disaster. And it kind of is iconic for the crime of the century, that Donna, as mastermind to the brutal killing of Dan Markel, it too just went down in flames. And I do think before this is all over with, I think the whole bunch are going to end up in prison except for Harvey. I think Harvey will be spared, perhaps because of his age, but also, I get the feeling he may have dementia. He may have an Alzheimer's diagnosis. And I think, that could be Kappelman just recognizing how does anything come of putting an 80-year-old guy with Alzheimer's, how does that help the state or the Markel family or anyone else by putting him in prison? But make no mistake about it, I do think Wendy will go down in addition to Donna. I think they'll all end up in jail. So Donna is obviously facing conspiracy to commit murder charges and murder. She was born in 1950. She is considered the matriarch of a prominent South Florida family. She was the dental office manager for dentist Harvey Adelson for many years. And they lived an incredibly comfortable, well-to-do, upper crust life in Coral Springs, Florida. Donna had 3 kids, Wendy, Charlie, and Rob. Wendy is an attorney and has been a college professor. She now lives just outside of Austin, a place I believe called Rosenberg. She has her a man. They do not live in a gated mansion. They have a nice, kind of modest house in a gated community, protected community, which you kind of have to have in that area. That area is getting pretty bad with crime. And then Charlie was probably the shining star of those that were close to Donna. Rob, in truth, is the shining star. In reality, Rob made good on life in the best way imaginable. Charlie ran an incredibly successful periodontal practice. He was unique in how he set up the practice. He was sort of like the roving dental surgeon. But he had a lot of problems. He was rubbing shoulders with a rough group of people. And I kind of think that part of him getting involved with that rough group of people was, in fact, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick being a guy that had a really dark and shady past. He has an Can you hear me now? What's the last thing you heard me say? I don't know why this microphone keeps turning off. Let me keep watching it and see. Hey, common sense. Let me keep watching it and see, because look, I double checked and triple checked everything. Okay, you should be able to hear me now. It that particular microphone keeps turning itself off. Yep. Okay, I'm switching microphones altogether because though the one that I was trying to use, it is turning off, which is really weird because I had it on the charger all night last night. Maybe I didn't have the connection pushed in all the way. Okay, sorry about that. If you can hear me, put a 1. I'm back on the computer microphone, discussing Charlie and how the oldest brother was really the most successful. Yeah, he's kind of like the diamond in the family crown, right? I'm talking about Rob. He's the diamond in the family crown. He lived according to his own rules. He pushed back at Donna and the control that she was attempting. He ended up getting annulled the marriage to the good Jewish girl, and ended up marrying a woman of Indian descent who is also a doctor. And they're living a very happy, fulfilling life without Donna in their life. And it's so interesting that a man who had the courage to push back on this controlling mother, the man that had the courage to do that, his life ended up dramatically more fulfilling and healthier, correct? I do think that people, look, how many times do we hear, but that's your mother. You have to talk to your mother. you can't set boundaries against your mother. She's your mother. Now, the same people that will judge and say, you know, Donna's a horrible mom. Look at what she's done to Charlie. Look at what she's done to Wendy. The same people that do that will also be the same people that will find out that a friend has cut off contact with their own mom. And they'll say, how can you do that? You must be a horrible person. Now, let me just say this, okay? It would be wonderful. Trust me, CPS would not have a problem if all women that gave birth had maternal instincts. You know what I mean? If women that give birth, if they have a gentle spirit, if they feel empathy and connection to their children, if they don't try to use their children as their own path of narcissistic supply, then those kids turn out a lot stronger, healthier, and happier than mothers who are angry and controlling and believe that it's their job to squeeze any little bit of narcissistic supply that they can from their children. These mothers that hyper control everything their kids do, those mothers that set up that narcissistic family structure where there's a golden child and the scapegoat, right? So Rob made good on that. Rob is the shining example of when setting boundaries with a unhealthy, toxic parent can really pay off. It can really help you. And it just because you set boundaries against a toxic parent, it doesn't mean you don't love that parent. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't help that parent if they needed help. It means you're choosing to have people in your life that are supportive and uplifting and fun and healthy. And you're keeping the toxicity, the judgment, the ridicule, you're keeping that out of your life and out of the lives of your children. So Rob serves as a really great exhibit for how setting limits against a toxic parent can really be a healthy choice in life. So we all need to try not to be judgmental if someone we know sets limits with a parent and they're no longer talking to them on a regular basis, rather than casting some sort of negative judgment. Oh, look what a horrible son he is. Look what a terrible daughter. Maybe have some grace that we don't always know what's going on in these intimate, close relationships in a family. And a lot of times, this is true too. A lot of times people that set boundaries with toxic family members, they've already been abandoned. The way that they're able to set those limits and move away from those toxic people is that the person wasn't showing love. The mother was not showing attention and care. And that was very painful for the child. And that is what made it possible for that child to say, you know, I think I need to get some distance from my mom or from my dad. So we need to be careful, right, DB? Yeah, well said. Toxic parents create toxic siblings. That's exactly right. So we are all responsible for engineering a life where we can be at our best. And if that means putting up some limits, putting up some boundaries, then embrace that. But don't just put the limits up and then sit around sad and unhappy. Set the limits, but then get busy building a life with things that make you feel good, things that build you up and make you strong, right? All right. So Charlie, he does strike me as the kind of guy who he envisioned himself as being the family savior. That Harvey lost the family fortune to a shyster, and Donna is so meddling and hurtful that she's alienating everyone. And Charlie comes along and he's like, okay, I'm going to fix this whole mess that I call my family. I'm going to get our fortune back. I'm going to work hard and make money. And I'm not going to marry anyone that's going to upset my mom. I'm just going to live my best life. I'm just going to be out here. I'm going to date the women that I find to be beautiful. I'm going to spend my money on all my toys, but I'm going to make good on being the kid that mom and dad are proud of. Right. And that led to some really bad decisions and choices on his part. But Wendy remains the enigma. Wendy remains the, dare I say it? Let me put it this way. Those of you that have really followed along this case, do you ever get the feeling that Wendy might have a little bit of psychopathy? Does it seem like she has the ability to detach from her emotions and put herself first? Because how long did it take on the day that Dan Markel was shot? She goes up to the police station. How long did it take for her to say, oh, Charlie said, let me tell you what Charlie said. Charlie made some bad jokes. Right? You know, on hindsight, when you look at it, I'm fading in and out. Oh, I'm so sorry, Meezer Mom. I have no more options this morning. I've got to go forward. So think about, put yourself in that circumstance that you're sitting at a police station and they're questioning, would there be anyone that might want to hurt your loved one? Are you just going to randomly off the top of your head say, let me tell you about a bad joke my brother made? I'm not going to be thinking of jokes. I'm going to be like, holy hell. He got shot. Who the hell shot? Who would want to hurt my ex-husband? This is crazy. I'm not going to be remembering bad jokes. Are you? Let's do it this way. If you think, thank you, DB. Thank you so much. If you think that you would not be thinking about jokes at a time like that, put a 1. If you think it's perfectly natural to tell bad jokes during a crisis, put a 2. And I want to stop the Donna Show because somebody's going to go, you're going to cause epilepsy. Okay, there's a nice serene picture. No one will have epilepsy. All right. Okay. Exactly. So you're not going to be thinking about stupid jokes that your brother told you at a dinner party or something. That you're not going to be thinking of that. So on hindsight, it looks to be quite contrived, right? It look, and then you can't forget Donna saying, I've seen you act. You've got to do your best. Is that what that was? Was it all an act? Did she already know that she was going to point the finger at Charlie? Did she already know that? And Charlie's shady friends. Who else talked about Charlie's shady friends? Yeah, Jeffrey Lacoste, the boyfriend, who got it wrong, by the way. He got it wrong when he said, when Wendy said that her brother was looking into hiring a hitman, at the time that Wendy gave as a timeline, Charlie did not even know Katie Magbanoa. So there's some very strange things about Wendy and the timing of throwing Charlie under the bus, and that her storyline seems to align with Jeffrey Lacasse's storyline. It's a weird set of circumstances. Very weird. But without a doubt, no matter if we don't think about any of the other extraneous factors, for sure, it's strange that Wendy, within minutes, is invoking the name of my brother Charlie. It's very, very strange. It's also incredibly strange, suggestive of emotional detachment, maybe even cruelty, that her brother ends up in prison. Donna herself gets arrested. Her father is living alone now in Miami with his one child in prison, his wife in jail, another child estranged and living up in New York somewhere. And what does Wendy do? Does Wendy go and spend time with her father and talk? No. She picks up with an old boyfriend and moves to Austin, Texas, an hour and a half drive from the Mexican border. Kind of strange, isn't it? So it does seem to me just a shallow perusal of everyone's location and the timeline that Wendy seems to be one, cold and calculating, completely zero attachment to any of her family members. And number two, calculating in that, has she given herself an easy departure? Has she plotted a path of egress should things go terribly wrong? If things go terribly wrong, she pops across the border, gets on a boat, makes her way to Central America, where she then gets on an airplane to Vietnam or Dubai. It's kind of interesting. So I am here for it. I'm here for this trial. I'm excited about the trial. And I also expect that this trial is not going to be a boring rehashing of what we saw with Charlie and Katie Magbanola's trials. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think this will be something dramatically different and new. Part of the reason that I think it's different and new is her legal team. The people that in a very roundabout way, she ended up with these two high stakes Tallahassee attorneys with real, they have real history as defense attorneys and a judge. The truth is, I think that Danny Boy, I think he was a shyster. He was a prosecutor for a while, and I think he thought, oh, it'll be easy to be a defense attorney and I'll make loads of money. And he didn't really know what he was doing. He definitely did not handle Charlie's trial well at all. So, but that's not what's going to be happening with Donna. Donna has got very, very, very experienced attorneys. They are Tallahasseans. They know the court. They know the court officials. They know the prosecuting attorneys. This is a whole different ballgame. So her two attorneys are Joshua Zellman and Jackie Fulford. Jackie is interesting. She was actually a circuit court judge for the Second Judicial Court. She was also chief assistant state attorney. Yeah, she knows what she's doing. Now, there's going to be people that are going to try to tear her down, tear her reputation down and such. They're going to say that she had some kind of problems, but she was ill and they let her leave. And ignore all that noise. It's just noise. In no way do you become chief assistant state attorney. In no way do you become a circuit court judge and not know your stuff. Now, people can be very accomplished and very intelligent, very well educated, and they can get sick. They can run into troubles. They can get their heart broken. There's all kinds of things that can happen to derail competent, good, decent people, and they have a mental health crisis, and then they heal. They get treatment. They move past it, and then they retain their former position as professional. So I myself am really looking forward to Jackie Fulford as a defense attorney. It's going to be interesting to see how her involvement changes the demeanor and the dynamics of Georgia Cappleman. That is going to be really interesting. It's kind of like Clash of the Titans, right? Two really competent, well-educated, knowledgeable, strong women. It's going to be Clash of the Titans. It's going to be great. Josh Zellman is a seasoned criminal defense attorney. And he has a long history of experience, complex cases in the Tallahassee area. Donna hired them October 2024 when the shyster, Dan Roshbaum, was disqualified. He made such a mess of things. Old Danny Boy made a terrible mess of everything. So this time around, Georgia Cappleman is going to have to really do her stuff. Sarah Dugan, both Georgia and Sarah Dugan, they are veterans of the Leon County State Attorney's Office. They have been involved in the Dan Markell murders for 10 years. And it's interesting because Georgia Cappleman knows Jackie Fulford, both state attorneys. And Jackie was the chief state attorney, in addition to then rising to level of circuit court judge. So it's going to be a great trial. It's going to be a great trial. All of the attorneys that are involved this go around are tough. They know what they're doing. It's no nonsense. I suspect there is going to be fireworks, more than what we have already seen. And we have already seen, before Donna's trial has even gotten started, Jackie Fulford and they had Jackie Fulford and Joshua Zellman have already done more to protect their client than Dan Roshbaum did through the entire trial. So they have filed motions to suppress evidence. They have challenged witness testimonies. They have asked multiple times for moving the trial. They brought in expert witnesses to challenge the case notoriety to support moving the trial out of Tallahassee. These are things that Dan Roshbaum never did. It was almost like he never even considered or thought about doing it. So we've already seen more out of these two attorneys than we ever saw with Dan Roshbaum. So I suspect that Sarah Dugan and Georgia Cappleman, they are not laying around the pool soaking up the sun today. No. They know this is going to be a real trial. They recognize that they are up against two very, very competent attorneys, and they're going to have to be on their toes. And I will say this, I don't think there'll be any trickery. I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell that Donna Adelson walks out of that courtroom a free woman. I don't think any of that's possible. She is definitely going down. The evidence is there. But I do think that Georgia Cappleman and Sarah Dugan are acutely aware that this is not going to be the walk in the park that Dan Roshbaum was. they recognize they're going to have to be really careful. They're going to have to dot their I's and cross their T's, and they're going to have to be very, very careful. So the jury selection begins on the 19th, Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. at the San Leon County Courthouse in Tallahassee, Florida. We will again see Circuit Court Judge Stephen Everett, who everyone loves because he is so no nonsense. Believe it or not, the original date for the trial was supposed to be June the 3rd. That's why if you look at my Donna Show, thumbnail, it says June 2025 because that's when it was supposed to start. But lots of delays, lots of little problems, but the big day is finally upon us. They will be bringing in, for jury selection, they will be bringing in 300 to 500 prospective jurors. 300 to 500 prospective jurors have received summons from Leon County. That included the greater surrounding area. They will use groups of 50 each morning, and then each afternoon they'll bring in another 50. So they're going to have about 100 a day, 110. They want to whittle down that big group of 300 to 500. They want to whittle that down to 100 or so with standard questions. And then from there, the attorneys will question each of these candidates on biases, if they've heard of the case, what do they know about it, if they know anyone that's involved in the case. They'll also be questioned on like their personal attributes, if they have the ability to be impartial, especially because these are cases that have been alive for 10 years in the spotlight in Leon County. At the end of the day, when jury selection is complete, they will have chosen 12 members, including 3 alternates. So all in all, they'll have 15 people sitting. All right. In Florida, during a first-degree murder trial, which is capital felonies, they require a 12-person jury, even when the death penalty is not on the table, and that is the case here. Donna's not facing the death penalty. Let's see. And of course, we know alternates are a necessary evil because so many people either get ill or they have work conflicts or personal issues, or the judge feels like he needs to dismiss a juror here and there for questionable occurrences. So that is I was thinking about Ryan Fitzpatrick. He said that he went and got a sandwich at lunchtime one day. When he came back, he said, and I quote, "I went downstairs and ate my sandwich with a couple of jurors." He said that on a podcast. And I don't know if he saw the look on the interviewer's face or if he realized what he had said, because then he says, "Well, I didn't talk to them. I didn't talk to them, but we were all eating." So I really thought that might come up on appeal, that he was, at least sharing space with jurors. They tell you you're not even supposed to ride, if you're a witness, you're not even supposed to ride in an elevator with a juror. And this joker, this clown, is sitting downstairs eating alongside the couple of the jury members. Yeah, very questionable, very, very curious. And we can only hope that they had cameras that would verify they, in fact, did not speak, right? It was crazy when he said it. All right, so jury selection, jury selection is expected to take 2 or 3 days. And they believe that opening statement should kick off on the 22nd, which would be Friday, if it all goes the way that Judge Everett thinks that it will go, or Georgia Kappelman thinks it will go. So jury selection starting on the 19th, and then hopefully by Friday there's a jury seated and we're listening to opening statements. It's a beautiful thing that this is happening in Florida because of the sunshine laws. Because Florida says we don't want to hide any of this. This is all a matter of public record, and everybody should be able to see everything that's going on, compared to places like Colorado, where everything's done in secret, which makes others feel nervous. Like, what are you doing that you have to have secrecy? Or what about Arkansas? What about Arkansas, the Devil's Den killer? He had a court appearance, but you didn't hear anything about it, did you? Why? You didn't hear anything about it because the judge literally closed the entire courtroom. No one was allowed in the courtroom but the judge, the prosecutors, and the defense attorneys. Not even one member of the press was allowed. Yeah. What's up with that? Why are we all secrety, Sarah Huckabee? Inquiring minds want to know what that was about. So we'll be watching and finding out what's happening in Arkansas, that we look like we're going to try to protect a heinous murderer and a creepazoid too. Let's see. The state is, they are anticipating 5 to 7 days to present their case. The defense has asked for 6 days for them to present their defense. The trial could wrap up after about 6 days of testimony. But then by the time you factor in jury selection, deliberations, weekends off, it's probably going to be about 3 weeks long. They're thinking it should wrap up around September the 9th. All right. So what's it gonna look like? Like, what's this gonna be? Is this gonna be kind of the little goofy little trial of Dan Roshbaum and Charlie Adelson acting like, it's Weekend at Bernie's? No, I don't think so. I think we're looking at a mud fight. I think that you've got the Clash of the Titans, and I think both sides know what the hell they're doing. And each side has around 40 witnesses, including Wendy. I think it's going to be rough. We're going to get to see Luis Rivera again, who got away with murder, literally. He served something like 7 years for the killing of Dan. We know that Charlie is in the Leon County court jail. He's supposed to be called as a witness, but he has been unpredictable where Donna's trial is concerned. So we'll just have to watch and see. But I think it's going to be incredibly interesting. I do think that Jackie Fulford, I think that her defense attorneys are going to present Donna as this little fearful little grandma, and she was so frightened and intimidated by Luis Rivera, the Latin Kings. Oh my God. And that's why she didn't call the cops. That's why she didn't do anything when the bump happened. So that is gonna be very hard to fly. I think Rob will get up on that stand and he'll say, Donna Adelson is no wilting flower. There's not a weak bone in her body. She is tough as nails. She is mean as hell. And she doesn't care about other people's feelings. So the idea that Donna would be intimidated by the Latin Kings, I think Rob is going to say that's laughable. That's my guess. All right. And I will tell you what I wish would happen. I wish, it's my hope or my daydream, that Charlie would take the stand and just spill his guts. Tell the whole story from start to finish. every nuanced detail, put it out there on the line. Let your entire family own what they did. That's what I'm hoping for. Will he do it? I don't know. And the bigger question is probably if Georgia Cappleman is willing to make a deal with Charlie, that he's able to see an opportunity free. He just might. He's spent quite a bit of jail time so far. He may be thinking, why am I taking the full rap for this? I didn't get us into this mess. My damn mom and sister did. All I did was gave the damn money. It would be like fireworks if he ended up letting the cat out of the bag, right? All right. I hope that you guys have a wonderful Sunday afternoon. And I'll be back tomorrow. I won't be back later on today because I'll be working. But thank y'all for hanging out with me and talking with me. I appreciate it. And everybody have a beautiful day. And for goodness sake, don't get down in the muck. Stay out of the drama.
With the pelicans in flight, coffee brewing strong by dawn's early light. Waves whisper secrets to my open heart. The life around this water gets me off to a great start. Parrots wild, squawking loud in the old palm tree. Dolphin smiles, brighter than the Texas sun on me. We chase simple dreams, nothing fancy or grand, just honest days in this promised land. God gives rainbow horizons to those in this happy lane. Diamonds dancing on the waves, back sparkling again. Honest living, a pursuit of peace, family ties and the happiness we seek. Love, forgotten country running deep in our veins. Through the storms and the trials we break those chains. Good living brings the blessings we see. Rainbow horizons calling to me. Living each moment, giving truth from the heart. No deceptions woven, no false starts. It goes like a front porch swaying in the ocean breeze. Watching the sunset fade away with pink and blue ease. Teach the young ones right from wrong with care. Hold them close when the world's unfair. In this Gulf Coast life we find our way, building memories that never stray. Oh, rainbow horizons after the rain. Diamonds dancing on the waves back again. Honest living in pursuit of peace. Family ties and the happiness we see. Love, forgotten country running deep in our veins. Through the storms and the trials we break those chains. Good living brings the blessings we see. Rainbow horizons calling to me. When the night falls quiet and stars shine bright, I thank the Lord for this humble light, for the flag that waves and the grace from above, filling our hearts with endless love. No riches compared to the